Hi, this is Deborah Sable Thornbrew, and I'm going to demonstrate a few things from Chapter 1 in our textbook in PowerPoint 2016. On my screen, I have a pre-created presentation. Before I start showing you things about that, I want to make sure that you understand where to find the tools you need at the top of the screen. Those of you who have used PowerPoint, older versions of PowerPoint before 2016 will recognize some of the tools that you see in the buttons and menus. In 2016, it hasn't really changed all that much from 2013. You'll notice that at the top of the screen there are these tabs. When you click on one of these tab titles, then the tools that you see across the ribbon will change to reflect that tab. So here's a tab just for transitions, which we're going to look at in just a moment. Animations, things you want to motivate, animate on a slide, how to record the slideshow, how to present it, and so on. Lots of different tabs, lots of different tools. Across the very top left corner of the screen, this is called the quick access menu. And from here you can do common things like clicking to save things that you've done. If you've made any changes, you can click save to save those changes and so on. I'm going to start from the Home tab. This is typically the tab that you see, the ribbon that you see, when you first open a PowerPoint slide. Notice that a lot of these commands are grayed out, which means they're not available until you select something in the slide in the middle of the screen, and then you can use some of these tools on what you have selected. The next thing I'm going to show you is just transitions. A transition is how one slide fits into the next or changes into the next. The view that we're looking at right now is called Normal View. In Normal View, on the left-hand side, you'll see a bunch of thumbnails, and you can scroll through them to see all the slides in this particular slideshow. When you click on one, then the main screen here in the middle shows a bigger picture of that one slide, and it lets you work on that one slide. I'm going to start on slide number 2. I'm going to add a transition to this slide. So I'm going to click the transition ribbon. Right now, you'll notice that none is gray, which means none is chosen. There are no transitions. If I were to run the slideshow right now, you wouldn't see any transitions. So I'm going to demonstrate that very quickly. If you look down here at the very lower right corner of the screen, there is an icon called the slideshow icon. And when you click on that, it starts to run the slideshow itself. So now all I have to do to move to the next slide is left click on my mouse. And as I click through the slides, it changes from one slide to the next, but there's no transition effect. To get out of this slideshow running, I'm going to press the escape button on my keyboard, which returns me back to the normal view. So again, I'm going to go back up here and start with slide number 2. Usually it's a good idea to start your transitions with the second slide and not the first one. If you start the first one with a transition, it's kind of annoying or silly. It doesn't really have much of an effect for your audience. The second one is where I always start. So I'm going to go up here to the gallery of different transitions. So I'm going to click this little down arrow, which means more, and I can choose from any of these transition effects. The one I'm going to start with is this one. It's called Crush. If I click on that, it will show you a preview of what that transition looks like. So now I'm going to put that same transition on the next slide, slide 3. And on one more, slide 4. Notice too that over here on the right hand side you can choose to apply a sound effect to your transitions. Not usually a good idea unless there's a real reason why you need to have sound. And the duration. The duration default is 2 seconds. You can increase or decrease the amount of time of the duration. So now I'm going to start with the very first slide. I'm going to start running the slideshow from the first slide, and now you'll see the transition effects. So here's slide number 1. Now if I click my mouse, it'll transition with that transition design that I chose called Crush, and it will transition to the next slide. And the next one. And the next one. Now I'm going to press Escape to get back to the normal view. And that's how you can apply transitions to individual slides.